I'd like to say hello to those out there in Cyber Land again, and welcome to Outside the Ministry, Outside the Camp Ministries. I'm Brother KC, your teacher today, and Brother Stacy, the reader. This is the first night of Unleavened Bread, we just did the Passover yesterday, and that evening, when the sun came down, we get right into the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And it's from evening to evening, the Most High places His day. So we're coming to the last part of the day. We're in between noon and the sun going down. And when the sun goes down, this day will be over in the Lord's eyes, but it will be continuing in the world's eyes, because they call it Thursday. They begin at midnight to midnight. And the Lord begins it from evening to evening. So, take your Bibles and turn to Leviticus chapter 23. This is the one of the greatest chapters in all the Bible. Every so-called believer of the Most High, so-called Christians, should understand and know Leviticus chapter 23 from top to bottom. It shows the plan of salvation, which we saw last night in the Passover. That was Lord's plan for the Messiah to come as the Lamb of God, as a sin offering. And He took the lamb in the house on the 10th day, 14th day, He crucified Him. That's what we showed you. They did that exactly the same manner. Messiah, He died on that same day that was prophesied back in Exodus 12. We'll start at verse 1 and read.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23, beginning at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying.
And I like to always point out who's doing the speaking, not Moses. Moses doing the listening. This didn't come by Moses' mind. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
Now, you can call Easter holy convocations, you can call, but they ain't holy before the Most High's sight. These are the holy convocations, people. They're not the feast of the Jews. They're not somebody else's feast. These are the Lord's feasts. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
Right. See, He set the Sabbath as the day of rest for a holy convocation. The 7th day of the week, Constantine, your master, changed it to Sunday, the first day. But to whom you yield your service, your members to obey, that's whose servants you are. He never changed the Sabbath day, brothers and sisters. It is 6 days, and the next day, that Sabbath is on the 7th day of the week. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
They are what? The feast of the Lord. They degenerated down to the feast of the Jews by the time the Messiah had come, even before that. They started calling it the feast of the Jews, but it's not the feast of the Jews. Hold your hand there and turn to John chapter 6. We're coming right back. John 6. We'll look at one verse there, verse 4.
The Gospel of John, chapter 6, beginning at verse 4.
Read.
And the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was nigh.
See there? It was the feast of the Lord. It had degenerated down to the feast of the Jews. And that's what it is today. That's the old Jews' feast. No, it's not. I am the Lord, I change not. It didn't come out of no Jew's mind. The Sabbath day was way in the beginning, when God had created. He blessed the 7th day See? So all these days are from the Creator's mind. He tells you when to have these holy covenants. It's his plan of salvation. He wants to show his creation how to get salvation, how he's going to come, how he's the first time to come, the second coming. What we're looking at now are the spring feasts. The fall feast comes in the fall, when the great harvest was gathered in. So, let's go back to Leviticus and start at verse 4 and read.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23, beginning at verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Go ahead.
And the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
So the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover, from evening to evening. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread.
Yes. And the 15th day is the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That evening, when they took him off the cross that afternoon, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they had to take him off because the high day is a Sabbath. And they would not want to be unclean, so they had to bury him real quickly. See? So, not understanding that he died in the midst of the week on a Wednesday and not Friday, you can't get 3 days and 3 nights from Friday evening to Sunday morning. Come on now. But you can get it from Wednesday to Saturday to the 7th day when he rose up. But let's keep on reading. What verse we at?
Verse 7. The next page. Yeah,
Verse what?
we're in Leviticus.
You finished 6.
Read.
Verse 7. And the first day ye shall have an holy convocation, ye shall do no servile work therein.
So this is the first day of Feast of Unleavened Bread. No servile work. No regular work. No, you're supposed to go to your job today. If you can get off, you got to get off. But if you do all you can to keep this thing, even though we're in captivity, don't worry about it. The Lord will make a way if you make the commitment to do it. So, the first day is the high Sabbath. You got your weekly Sabbath, and then the feast days fall. They have Sabbaths in each feast day. You got 2 of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the first night and the last night. They're called high Sabbaths. If the Sabbath, the regular Sabbath, happens to fall on one of these days, the high Sabbath takes precedence over it. In other words, if this was Saturday, we would not be celebrating it. Even though it was the Sabbath, we would do the Feast of Unleavened Bread this day. That's why they call high Sabbaths. Anyway, just for your learning, go ahead and read.
Verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days, and the 7th day is a holy convocation.
Yes, sir.
Ye shall do no severe work therein.
All right, let's go to Exodus 12. Go ahead and start, verse 1.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12, beginning at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
Yes, sir. So this is the month of Abib. It begins in the spring, according to the Most High's calendar. But go down to verse 6.
Verse 6. And ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Talking about the Passover. But we're not going to go through all that because the Passover and unleavened bread, they join right one to one another. They butt up. Because the 14th, and then that evening at the 14th is the 15th of the month, and that's when the Feast of Unleavened Bread starts. Go down to verse 15 and read.
Verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Now, see, the Sabbath back in Genesis never came. Because death entered in, and sin by death brought in death, and Adam got kicked out of the garden. Adam was formed on the 6th day, but the 7th day never came. And then the Lord gave man 6 days to labor. One day of the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is 1 day. And so in 6,000 years, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is he gave man to labor. So these days, the day of unleavened bread is the days of unleavened bread. Because it's from Adam, really, it's from all the time man has got on this earth. We're in the days of unleavened bread. So as you see what leaven represents, even though we're celebrating the day of unleavened bread, we're in the times or the days of this unleavened bread. These things are bigger than what you can read on this paper. You got, while you're getting, you got to get understanding. Go ahead and read.
Verse 8.
8. Come on, brother. That's
16.
the pages now.
16.
I mean for 12. Okay, all right. Verse 16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, that save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
Go ahead.
And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generation by ordinance forever.
For how long?
Forever.
Now wait a minute. How long is forever? Oh man. Well, it's been cut. It ain't been cut off. It's forever. It's been extended all the way down to the Messiah's kingdom until the whole thing is finished. That's why you eat unleavened bread for 7 days, which represents 7,000 years. Man was in sin until the whole end comes. Until he hands the kingdom over unto the Father, which is the 8th day. That's another feast day. You have to understand those days. That's the fall feast, the ingathering. But let's go down to so he goes to the Passover and he told him to put the blood on the little and he goes back to Pharaoh with this last plague to get Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go. And we're going to come down to verse 29 and read.
Verse 29. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up.
So the captives that was in the dungeon. So if you happen to be in the dungeon at this time, Israel, whoever you was, you couldn't get that blood over your post. Your firstborn died. See? Ain't that what it says?
Yes.
Said the captives. Go ahead and read.
Verse 30. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
And he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Rise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve the Lord as ye have seen.
He changes his tone now, ain't he? Verse 34.
Verse 34. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs, being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses. And they borrowed of the Egyptian jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment.
That's good. Go to verse 38 from there.
Verse 38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle.
A mixed multitude, different nationalities came out of there with Israel. See? What does Israel that came out? All those Hamites came out. Some Shemites, other Moabites, whoever was around at that time in Egypt, put their blood on that doorpost, came out in a mixed multitude, along with Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 39, and they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any meal.
Right, because they just kept partaking of that Passover, and now you got yourself under this blood, you're going to stay. This leaven represents sin, this leavened bread. So you're not going to be, he's delivering you out from the bondage of sin. It's a picture of when you partake of the Passover, you get delivered from the bondage of sin, people. And so now you can't continue in sin that grace may abound, God forbid. That's why I said these are the days of unleavened bread. The whole world lieth in sin, lieth in wickedness. Now, what verse is that, my brother?
We in verse 40.
Go down to verse 47 and read.
Verse 47, all the congregation of Israel shall keep it.
Talk about the Passover. And go ahead.
And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof.
Go ahead.
One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you.
Yeah, not two laws, not one for the stranger or the Gentile. There were Gentiles in Egypt. Not one for the Jew, for Israel and any other nation. If you joined and took this Passover, then you became as one born in the land, a native. You became part of that household. Now, chapter 13, verse 1, read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying.
Again, who's doing the speaking? The Lord. Go down to verse 4 and read.
Verse 4. This day came ye out in the month of Abib, and it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites.
What day is this that you came out of the month of Abib? Not the 14th, the 15th. Because they were thrust out of Egypt. And they came out on the 15th day. Go ahead and read.
And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he swore unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month.
Right. And so he went on to explain the service again, 7 days eat unleavened bread. And verse 7, go ahead and read.
Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no living bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be living seen with thee in all thy quarters.
Wait a minute. No leavened bread, neither any other leaven. Is that what it's saying?
Yes.
You got to work out your own salvation. Some people say, oh, well, just talk about leavened bread. But he said, he broke it down twice. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days.
And there shall be
no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall it be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. Leavened bread or leaven. That's what it looks like saying to me.
No, that's what it's like.
No leaven. No, that's the agent of leaven in it. That's what it says. So, you figured out. Go ahead, verse 8 and read.
Verse 8, and thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thy hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth.
Because if it's in your mouth, it's in your heart. What is in the mouth? The heart speaketh. See. Go ahead.
For with a strong hand had the Lord brought thee out of Egypt.
This is the purpose. You got to remember the Lord's strong hand, how he delivered you out of the house of bondage. See, we got to remember that we've been delivered from the sin, and don't go. We keep wanting to go back to Egypt. That's what was the problem. They want to keep going back to Egypt. Go back to being slaves again. Slaves to sin. See, we want to go back to being slaves to the flesh and let the flesh have dominion over us instead of the Spirit guiding us. We want to go back to let the flesh rule. Let it have dominion. But there's no good thing in the flesh, people. But we fight it every day. What verse did I stop at? Did I stop there, bro? I didn't go read verse 10.
Thou shalt therefore keep this order in his season from year to year.
Year to year. Go down to verse 14 and read through 16.
And it, beginning at verse 14, and it shall be when thy son enter thee in time to come, saying, what is this?
Talk about this piece of unleavened bread.
That thou shalt say unto him, by strength of hand, the Lord brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage.
But it was bigger than that. It represented them coming out with unleavened bread, not no mixture in it. They had just sacrificed, the Messiah had just made the sacrifice in that lamb with no blemish, no sin in it. Now we don't want, we want the Lord said, don't get contaminated. That's why we do this thing, to remember the message that this unleavened bread is to stay out of us. We got to remember, we have been delivered by that lamb, the Lamb of God, who was Messiah, and don't keep going back to this sin, that old sin. We got to make up our mind. What verse we stop at?
We're in verse 15.
Go ahead and read. 15.
And it came to pass when Pharaoh will hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both firstborn of man and firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that open the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem.
Go ahead.
And it shall be for a token upon thy head, and for frontlets between thy eyes. For by strength and of hand the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt. And
by strength of hand the Lord brought us forth out of sin, people. He died for, and by strength of hand, he kept his vow to God, to the Most High, the Father. But it's just a token. See, this was a shadow picture of what was going to be accomplished and how of our salvation, how it's to be kept. And at this time, we were under the order of Melchizedek. Aaron's order hadn't started yet. That's why all the firstborn, the children redeemed. But when Levitical priesthood, man, then they took over and they became the firstborn. Every firstborn of them was the redeemed. That's why they belong to Israel. They belong to the Father. The Levites, the Levitical priesthood. But that's another teaching for another time. Exodus 19, verse 1.
The book of Exodus, chapter 19, beginning at verse 1.
Go ahead and read.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt.
Now, this is the 3rd month now. Remember, in the 1st month they came out on the 15th day. This is the 15th day of the 3rd month. Go ahead.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai.
The same day, the Feast of Unleavened Bread was on the 15th day of the 1st month. This is the 15th day of the 3rd month. Go down to verse 3 and read.
Verse 3. And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle wings, and brought you unto myself.
That's what every follower of the Lord got to understand. He never brought you to no denomination. He never brought you to no organization. He brought you unto himself, first and foremost. Now, you might have to go through that, but once he taught you the truth of the word, until you've grown up under these commandments and the true doctrine, you belong to him. He bought you with a price. We are the Lord's people, nobody else. Go ahead and read.
Verse 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
Now, he didn't speak to him about no covenant when he came out of Egypt. Now, if you want to be his people, we gotta come under this covenant he's going to give you. A covenant is an agreement between two parties. The Lord said, if you come under this covenant, then you'll be my people above all the people. And in verse 6,
and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
Under that condition of the covenant, people. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. Here it comes.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, beginning at verse 1.
He said, I'm going to come down on this mountain, and I'm going to speak these words to you. I'm going to come down myself, because this is very important. This covenant I'm about to share with you. Now, I want to let you know, I'm going to show up personally. Go ahead and read.
Verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
That's the first. Remember when I brought you out of Egypt? You shall have no other God, because in Egypt there was a God for everything. Just like it is today. You can go to certain organizations that came out of Vatican Room. They got a God for everything. They got saints that'll do this for you. They got a God to do this for you. Same thing. Just hand it down to you and baptize Christianity. That's all. And so he's gonna run the Big Ten to him. Go down to verse 4 and read. Verse 8 and read.
Verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy works.
See?
But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
Let me say something to you, old disobedient child. You're reading this right now, and the commandments of men are coming up in your mind. And in vain you worship them, because you said, we ain't got to keep them commandments. Because my pastor told me I have to keep them. Them old feast days are done away with. And them feast days belong to the Jews. Yet we showing you that was the Lord's feast day. But that battle, it's that strong delusion that's on you, man. That you would believe a lie. And so, because we don't have a love for the truth, he says that strong delusion. All right, well, then believe the lie. Think about it. What body of men or country or state don't have laws, man, to guide them? You know, orders is to keep judgment, righteous judgment. So, verse 11, read.
Verse 11. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Taking you back to the beginning. So, we have to figure that out, don't we? And go to Exodus 23.
The book of Exodus, chapter 23.
Because Moses gotta keep teaching Israel these statutes and judgments, because they gotta make a covenant with them. Exodus 23, verse 10.
The book of Exodus, chapter 23, beginning at verse 10. And 6 years thou shalt sow thy land, and shalt gather in the fruits thereof.
Beginning from Exodus 20 on here, he's just teaching the judgments of the Lord, how to love your brother, how to treat one another, his ordinances, and getting down again, how to take care of the land. Go down and read. Where'd you start at?
I took my finger off. 6 days.
We just read 10.
Yeah, verse 10. Verse 11. But the 7 years thou shalt let it rest and lie still, that the poor of thy people may eat, and what they leave The beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner thou shalt deal with thy vineyard and with thy olive yard.
There wouldn't be no poor around here hungry. You wouldn't have to be begging for food because they wouldn't glean it all. You know, they would leave that would fall on the ground or they take part of, they wouldn't try to take up every chunk of it. And then they would let the land rust every 7 years. You wouldn't need these pesticides and all this other stuff if we had to deal according to God's word. Now we eating all this poison. Look what happened to all this cancer and all this diseases and illness, diabetes and all this other mess. Because we didn't obey our God. Go ahead and read.
Verse 12. 6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest, that thy ox and thy ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed.
My wife always brings this up to me when I ask her to do something for me on the Sabbath. She even the oxen get a chance to rest. It's my day off. I can't get her to do nothing. Yeah. So, go ahead and read.
Verse 13. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth.
And when they change the Gregorian calendar, every day of the week is named after another god. Saturday, Saturn. Monday, the moon god. Thursday, Thor. See? Sunday, the sun god. Man, we don't even know the things we say out of our mouth. That's why Lord, first day of the week, second day of the week, third day of the week, fourth day of the week, fifth day. Only day he named was the Sabbath. Now, verse 14, go ahead and read.
Verse 14, 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of the unleavened bread.
In the Passover and unleavened bread, they bump right against one another. These are the spring feasts. Go ahead.
Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month of Abib, for in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
And you don't appear before the Lord empty. Go ahead.
Verse 16, in the feast of harvest.
That's that next harvest. That's the wheat harvest. That's at the Feast of Pentecost. It's called the Feast of First Fruits of the wheat harvest. Go ahead.
Verse 17, 3 times in a year all thy males shall appear before the Lord.
No, you didn't finish this here. You didn't finish 16, bro.
And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year.
That's your fall feast, where you got the Memorial Blowing of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, then you got the Feast of Tabernacles, and you keep that 7 days, and then the 8th day is you got the 8th day, that great day, which represents the Father's kingdom. The Feast of Tabernacles represents when Messiah gonna come down and tabernacle with us in the land, and then the 8th day represents when he turned the kingdom over to the Father, and there's no flesh anymore. We're all gonna be like him. We're gonna be like gods. See, no flesh. That's the Father's kingdom. The Father don't deal with flesh. That's the only God you ever dealt with was Jesus. He gave you the commandments in the beginning. He was the Godhead. He was the spokesman for the Godhead. So, go ahead and read. 3 times a year, the 3 times?
Yes.
17?
Yes.
So 3 times a year. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain until the morning.
Talking about the Passover. But let's go to Exodus 24, verse 1.
The book of Exodus, chapter 24, verse 1. And he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord, thou and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off.
Okay, now go down to verse 6 and read. Verse 3 and read.
Verse 3, and Moses came and told the people of the word, told the people all the words of the Lord, and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice, and said, all the words which the Lord has said will we do.
Because he taught them from the beginning on Mount Sinai. He taught them all the Ten Commandments and the statutes and the judgments that go with it, and the feast days as part of that covenant. See? Now, go down to verse 7 and read.
Verse 7. And he took the
No, start at verse 6 and read.
Verse 6. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in the basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the ordinance of the people, and they said, all that the Lord has said will we do, and be obedient.
See, they don't tell you that the word testament is the word covenant. Well, New Testament, no, you're a new covenant Christian. The old covenant was covered by the blood of bulls and goats. The blood of bulls and goats couldn't take away no sin, but it represents what Messiah was going to come and do. And when he died for our sins, he came as a sin offering. And when he died, then every other person, you got to come under that covenant. It's a new covenant, but it's the same statutes and laws. But what's new about it, now it's covered by his blood. And he ain't going to die no more for our sins. Now, the wages of sin is death, even the second death. Go down to verse 8. And so what they say, we read verse 7?
Yes.
And he said, we will be obedient. That's confessing him as Lord, people. The little sound like, well, I'm going about the Lord and just go about do whatever you want to do. No. Why cause thou me Lord and do not the things I say? Luke chapter 6, verse 42. Go ahead and read verse 8. Now we read that?
Yes.
Go read verse 9 on through 11.
Verse 9. Then went up Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, 7 of the elders of Israel, and they saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet, as it were paved, work of a sapphire stone, as it were the body of heaven in his clearness.
They saw the God of Israel, who was Jesus before he became Jesus. He was Yahweh here. But he came in the name of the Father. The Father's name is Yahshua. That's another teaching for another time, but keep on reading.
Verse 11. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. Also they saw God and did eat and drink.
When Jesus was raised from the dead, John, Donnie Thomas said, my Lord and my God. See? And he ate with him. He appeared unto him. And then he went back to his right hand of the Father. But he appeared unto them. What makes you think he did this but him? He didn't appear to him there. Go ahead and read.
Verse 12. And the Lord said unto Moses, come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone, and a law, and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them.
Well, so who wrote these? We need to find out who wrote these things. Because if he wrote it, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 10. No, before we go there, go to Exodus 34, verse 28.
The book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 28.
Go ahead.
And he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water, and he wrote upon the tables of the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments.
Wow. That's the covenant. Along with the statutes and judgment. He couldn't put everything on there. He put the rest of it. He put it in the book. Now the blood covered this. But they had to keep it from year to year. They had to keep sacrificing them animals. It never could do the job. So, Jeremiah 7. I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians 10 after this. Jeremiah 7. Don't let me forget that. We'll start at verse 21.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 7, beginning at verse 21.
Go ahead and read.
Thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices and eat flesh. For I
Them sacrifice. He said, you eat them sacrifices. They ain't doing no good, because as soon as they do something, they come bring a sacrifice. You know, and it can only hold you in check. Why? Well, I got enough sheep and stuff, I can have a good time. You know, but now when you get down to that last female sheep and that last bull, you got to start thinking about it. Wait a minute, now, I better slow down here. You know. So it only holds you in check. It couldn't take away the sin. And it had to give you no power to overcome the sin either. Go ahead.
Verse 22. For I spake not unto your father, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offering or sacrifice.
He didn't. When we read that, we didn't read anything about no burnt offerings or sacrifices, did we? That was the law that was added later when they started breaking the covenant, people. Something had to die. So he chose these animals to die instead of man dying. But they couldn't take away the blood, they couldn't take away the sin. So these innocent lambs was a type of Messiah. So he said, you take and eat it. Go ahead.
Verse 23. But this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people. And walk ye in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well with you.
Ain't that what we read back there? Yeah. Obey my voice. Go ahead.
But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, but walked in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward.
Go ahead.
Since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Egypt unto this day, I had even sent unto you all my servants, the prophets, daily rising up early and sending them.
Go ahead.
Yet they hearkened not unto me, nor inclined their ear, but hardened their neck. They did worse than their fathers.
Yeah. Ever since he knew about the house of bondage, they broke them commandments right away. And that's why he had to add them the Levitical priesthood to it. There wasn't to be no Levitical priesthood. We would be a kingdom of priests. Now, he had to choose Aaron and his sons to start administering sacrifices for our knucklehead fathers. And that we had to kick them out of the land and put them in captivity. Only a remnant was around from all them years. But go ahead and read.
Verse 27. Therefore thou shalt speak all these things unto them, but they would not hearken unto thee. Thou shalt also call unto them, but they would not answer thee. But thou shalt say unto them, this is a nation that obeyeth not the voice of the Lord their God, nor receiveth correction. Truth is perished, and is cut off from their mouth.
And I want to say that to the day. Because the law is truth. Truth is perished. The law seems like a strange thing to hear about the feast days and stuff. It seems strange unto you, ears, people. Because it began perishing off the face of the earth. Because Israel's job was to teach all the sons of Adam this great covenant. Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians 10, verse 1.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10, beginning at verse 1.
Go ahead.
Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all your fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea. And all were baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. And did all eat the same spiritual meat.
That was that law. Go ahead.
And did all drink the same spiritual drink.
Uh-huh.
For they drink of the spiritual rock that followed them. And that rock was Christ.
Whoa, the rock was who?
Christ.
That was him back then. He's the one that gave it. But he was called Yahweh, Jehovah. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And they did all drink verse 5. But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness.
Oh, Paul called him God, ain't he? Because back then he was God. When he came to Messiah, he came in the flesh as the Son of God. He came through Mary. He wasn't of Mary. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Now these were our examples, to the intent we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted.
Go down to verse 9 and read.
Neither let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted, and were destroyed of serpents.
How can they tempt Christ if Christ wasn't back there? he had not been come in the flesh yet. But he got many titles now. He was Melchizedek, you saw that yesterday. He's God Almighty, he's Yahweh, Jehovah Nisar. So, El Shaddai. Anyway, let's go to Matthew 13. Just wanted to show you that. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Only thing that has changed was now there's no more sacrifices for sin. There's no more lambs. We're going to die for our sin, and Messiah's not going to die again. He's not going to come back and die anymore. Now we have to pay the wages of sin ourselves. That's a warning. It's not, when there's no more law, that's a warning. That's not something, oh, there's no more law. He's talking about the sacrificial law. No more animals to die for us. We're on the last run, people. He got us back into it. He came and died for us. He kept the law. He came from his high and holy position from among the right hand of the Father, took on the form of a servant, became obedient even to the death of the cross, even though he was equal with God. And now we say we ain't going to keep his covenant, and we're going to toss it behind our back. God forbid. That's what these days of Unleavened Bread trying to teach us. But it only tightens up when you got somebody there who will help you and tighten it up with you. Because as soon as you walk out this door, we in the days of Unleavened Bread, you're not going to hear these things, people. There's sin abounding. Ain't nobody going to agree with you if you're going to follow this guy. He said, tell them, he said, but they ain't going to listen. They're going to follow the imagination of their own heart. Man, I get so frustrated with TV and watching another movie. All you got is doing the women kissing on one another. Yeah, you had a little comedy show, Lopez, who's that Mexican guy?
That's a name.
Yeah, Lopez. Putting on the show, they saw how the committee was getting together. Well, you know, you got to be relevant, and they had this he/she on there, and they said, well, you can't call it he/she, you can't call that. If you're doing it, you got to call it ism. All depends on what mood she's in, or he's in, whatever. You just and had lawyers there to back it up, man, and they're pushing that stuff on the world. Verse 33, read.
The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, beginning at verse 33. Another parable spake he unto them. The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal till the whole was leavened.
See, I ain't gonna go through this whole thing. I'm gonna teach you about this. What this woman? This woman was Semiramis. Back at the beginning with Nimrod, when Semiramis, she was the wife of Nimrod, and Nimrod died, and he was supposed to raise from the dead as the son, and she got pregnant, and she had birth tables, and she said that Nimrod got her pregnant from the sun rays, and Alpop Tammuz, the son of God. And so you got Nimrod as God, so that's why you worship the sun. That's where you get the sunrise worship, the sun worship from. That's where you get Sunday from, the day of the sun, the day of the sun, the worship. If they had it down to you, it came out from that woman who put this leaven in that cup. And we're going to take a look at it, but look at Revelation 17.
The book of Revelation, chapter 17.
We'll start in verse 1.
Beginning at verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
Yeah. And then what represents people, this great whore is that mother church. Go ahead and read.
Verse 2. with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth had been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
That's that doctrine. That's part of that leaven, people. I'm going to show it to you. Go ahead.
Verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Go ahead.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color.
You can see that. You go over there and look over there in Vatican City. You can see that's the color they be wearing. See? Go ahead.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
The golden cup looked beautiful, but in that cup came your Sunday worship, came your Easter, came your Christmases. All that bad doctrine come as you are. God loves you no matter what. He got rid of the commandments, and he made you a New Testament Christian instead of teaching you about the commandments. Teach you about what the covenant was that you would have come under. What if the real blood of Christ represents? It's the blood of the covenant. See? And they gave you another gospel, another Jesus, and it's hid in that lump. Keep on reading.
Verse
5.
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abomination of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
No. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon. See, we're in Babylon, people. And the name of her name is the name of that great city, Babylon, which is Vatican City. And out there came that doctrine of that cup. Not Zion, but Rome. And it spread through all over. That's why when you see him come about, everybody bows down to this man. They came around on the throne and he kisses me. All the kings of the earth bow down to him. He said, well, I'm not part of it. Where'd you get that Christmas tree from? Where'd you get Sunday worship from? That came out of her cup. Where'd you get Christmas from? Where'd you get Mary, the mother of Jesus from, the mother of God from? That came out of that cup. And so many other abominations that you just pray over your food and don't make no difference what you eat. When God gave you a dietary law. Just like he told you how to keep the land. Now, we didn't follow that. That's why we're so sick these days. Colossians chapter 2. Verse 8. So leaven is sin, people. Verse 8, go ahead and read.
The book of Colossians chapter 2, beginning at verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you.
Beware, that's the first warning. The spoil means to rob you of what's valued. Go ahead. Through philosophy. Philosophy is the world's point of view. You go out in the world, and whatever their point of view is, that's worldly wisdom. God confounded the world with his wisdom by the foolishness of preaching. All that worldly philosophy and their reasoning and why it should be like this and why it should be like that. They spoil you with it. They rob you of your eternal salvation with it. Well, call them, they don't know what to call them. See, it's just so much mess out here. You don't have no law, man. You don't have no love for God anymore. He can't be taught anywhere. Nobody wants to hear about it. And we go out there and get entangled right away, and our minds start to get choked up with it. And we fall back into our old fleshly ways. I got to fight it off. It's so easy. And we get so callous with it. Because our hearts get hard through the deceitfulness of sin. Can't nobody tell us nothing no more. We get just like the world. because we are worldly. Go ahead and read.
The book of Colossians chapter 1 verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
And not after the Messiah. The Messiah gave you the commandments. The rudiments of the world, you start learning the rudiments of the world from kindergarten, actually from your mom and daddy. I saw another TV series where a young boy would dress up like a girl, and the mom and daddy called him a girl. And when they teased him about it, oh, how can they tease my little girl like that? No, he's a boy.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts building in them from time you start taking on this thing. They listen to the radio, the TV, the newspaper, then your schools train you up in this mess. Now, there's no tolerating for anybody to speak their mind. Go ahead down to verse 16 and read, brother.
Verse 16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in the respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days.
Let no man judge you. Let no man judge you in respecting these holy days, man. They twist this around. Don't let no man judge you in respecting these holy days. These Colossians were sun god worshippers. They were coming out of this stuff. He said, don't be worried about what people are saying about you. Don't let man judge you in respecting these days. They have been getting grafted in, man. Verse 17 through 18, read.
Verse 17, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ.
Yeah, it was a shadow in them sacrifices, but the body that came, that good thing that came was Messiah when he died for you. Go ahead.
Let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and in worship of angels, intruding into those things which he hath not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind.
Yes, sir. Verse 20, go ahead and read.
Verse 20. Wherefore, if ye be dead with Christ from the rudiments of the world.
From the rudiments of the world now. I ain't talking about from the truth of the word now. Go ahead.
Why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to the ordinance?
To the world's ordinances. Go ahead.
Touch not, taste not, handle not, which all are to perish with the using, after the commandment and doctrines of men.
Not the commandments and doctrines of God, the commandment and doctrines of men. Why do you transgress the traditions of the elders, asked Jesus. He said, and why do you transgress the commandments by your tradition? For in vain, for Isaiah said, they draw nigh with their mouth, but their heart is far from me. For in vain they teach for doctrine the commandments of men, and in vain they do worship me. Go to Mark chapter 8.
The book of Mark chapter 8.
Verse 12.
Beginning at verse 12. And he sighed deeply in his spirit and said, why doth this generation seek after a sign? Verily I say unto you, there shall no sign be given unto this generation.
Go ahead.
And
now start at verse 14 and read.
Verse 14. Now the disciples had forgotten to take bread, neither had they in the ship with them more than one loaf. And he charged them, saying, take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisee and of the leaven of Herod.
Go ahead.
And they reasoned among themselves, saying,
about leaven now. They try to figure out what this is. Go ahead.
It is because we have no bread. And when Jesus knew it, he said unto them, why reason ye because ye have no bread? Perceive ye not yet, neither understand? Have ye your heart yet hardened? Having eyes see ye not, and having ears hear ye not, and do ye not remember? When I break the 5 loaves among 5,000, how many basketful of fragments took ye up? They said unto him, 12. And when the 7 among 4,000, how many basketful of fragments took ye up? And they said 7. And he said unto them, how is it that ye do not understand?
Yeah, how do you know what bread I'm talking about? He said, I am the bread of life. if any man eat of this bread, he shall never die. Talk about these words that are speaking to you, they are spirit and they are life. That's why he took the bread and the wine at the Passover. But let's go follow. Look at Matthew chapter 16.
The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16.
We'll start at verse 6.
Beginning in verse 6. Then Jesus said unto them, Take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have taken no bread.
Read.
When Jesus perceived, he said unto them, O ye of little faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread? Do ye not understand? Neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up? How is it then? Ye do not understand that I speak not to you concerning bread, that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees.
Right. Their doctrine. Beware of it. See that thing that came out of that cup. Beware that leaven that was in that cup, people. Yeah, see, doctrine, bad doctrine is sin. Teaching people the commandments and doctrines of men is sin. And you're living by those things, you're still sinning because you don't understand what sin is. Look at 1 John chapter 3.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3.
Verse 4.
Beginning in verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
What is sin?
The transgression of the law.
Shall we sin that grace may abound? Shall we break the law that God may abound, that grace may abound? God forbid. The covenant is the law. Hebrews 10. We saw that.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 10.
Verse 1.
Beginning at verse 1.
Through 4.
For the law having a shadow of good things to come. And
that good thing was Messiah in them sacrifices. Go ahead.
Not the very image of the things can never, with those sacrifices which they offer year by year, continually make the comers therefore thereunto perfect.
But he never spoke to them about sacrifices when he brought them out of Egypt. This is talking about the sacrificial law that was added. See, with all our understanding, we got to get we got to get understanding. Go ahead and read.
Verse 2. For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers, once purged, shall have no more conscience of sin.
Go ahead.
But in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sin.
So it didn't do. That's why God didn't like it. He had no pleasure in it. Look at verse 8.
Verse 8. Above when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offering and offering for sin thou wouldest not, neither hast pleasure therein, which are offered by the law.
You can't go read anything in the commandments what we read that we're talking about the sacrificial law. That came up with the Levitical priesthood. We were still under the order of Melchizedek when he gave us the law. Go ahead and read.
Verse 9. Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O God. He taketh away the first.
He take away that first covenant. Go ahead.
That he may establish the second.
That he may establish the second covenant. Go ahead.
By the which we are all sanctified. By the which will we are sanctified through the offerings of the body of Jesus Christ once for all.
He died once, and that sacrifice did it for all. He ain't gonna die no more. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And
that was the body. That was that shadow picture. It was a sin offering. Go ahead.
And every priest standing daily ministering and offering, oftentimes the same sacrifices which can never take away sin. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of God.
Yes, sir. Verse 14.
Verse 14. For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified.
Those that stay under the covenant. Now, They came out of Egypt under the blood of the little, but then they had to come under the blood of the covenant. To stay under the blood, you got to stay under the blood of the covenant, because when he come back, he gonna look at the blood. He ain't gonna be looking at you. Our works are like filthy rags. See? We walk in him when we walk in his word. We walk in the agreement that we made with him through the covenant. Go ahead.
Verse
15.
15. Wherefore, whereof the Holy Spirit also is a witness to us. For after that he has said.
Now this is the Holy Spirit's witness. Now this may not be man's testimony, but this is the Holy Spirit's witness to you. Go ahead.
This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds I will not write them.
It don't happen by osmosis. It happens by study and being taught correctly. You can't be taught that bad doctrine with full of that leaven. And you have to keep the law. For the wages of sin is death, even the second death. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And their sins and iniquity.
No, yeah, go ahead.
And their sins and iniquity will I remember no more.
Uh-huh.
Now remission of these is there is no more offering for sin.
That's a warning, people. Ain't no more offering for sin. Look what happens. Go down to verse 24 and read.
Verse 24, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching.
And this is how they put you on the body. See, you're supposed to come to church. He ain't talking about going to church. He's talking about keeping them feast days and the Sabbath days, the assembly, the time that God appointed to get together, those appointed times. Like what we celebrating today. Because you can't see the day approaching unless you know you understand the feast days. Go ahead.
For if we sin willfully after that we have received knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin.
Whoa! What is he still talking about sin for? What is sin? The transgression of the law. Now, we don't keep the commandments now. If we don't keep the Sabbath days now, if we don't keep the feast days now, as we've come to a knowledge of, willfully just continue to break it. The covenant. What's remaining, brother?
What's the now?
26 and read again.
Verse 26. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifices for sin.
Go ahead.
But a certain fearful looking for a judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversaries.
Go ahead.
He that despises Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Of how much sore punishment suppose ye shall ye be thought worthy, who have trodden underfoot the Son of God, and have counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and have done despite unto the Spirit of grace.
Wow. A fiery look and indignation. That's the lake of fire, people. The blood of the covenant keeps the Spirit of grace on us. We're not guilty until we break the law. Shall I sin that grace may abound? God forbid. What is sin? The transgression of the law. Put it together. 1 Corinthians 5, verse 6 through 8. My last scripture here. But I hope you're understanding this, because the days are here. We're in the days of unleavened bread. I mean, and it is getting thicker and thicker and thicker. You got Trump up there, he just bombed Afghanistan today. You know, sent missiles over there, who did shoot the missiles at? Syria, last week. These prophecies are being ushered in. But go ahead and read. Start at verse 6.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 5, beginning at verse 6. For when we were yet...
5, verse 6.
Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveth the whole lump?
Yeah, a little sin, people. Start getting there and little leaven the whole lump. Go ahead.
Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may Be a new lump as ye are unleavened, for even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us.
Yeah. He was sacrificed for our sins, but he was a sin offering to get us back under that new covenant. Now it's his blood we're covered with. Go ahead.
Therefore let us keep the feast, not with the old leaven.
Let us keep the feast, people. Not Sunday worship, not Easter, not Christmas. Go ahead.
Therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven.
Not with that old leaven you had on your last year. Every year we're supposed to be getting rid of more and more of this stuff, purging ourselves of this old leaven. So every Passover we come back, we ain't still coming back with that old malice and stuff in our heart. It's a purging. You can't get rid of it all at one time. The law becomes new to you and fresh. You got to learn how to walk in this thing, to walk in newness of life. Go ahead, finish.
Therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
The unleavened bread of sincerity and truth, not that bad doctrine, but the true doctrine of the word. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Listen, I want you to subscribe and get more of these teachers, and we love the teaching. So get the hook up. Thank you for giving us your time in your homes. Hallelujah.